Willie D Live.
You wear a lot of hats. First of all, before I even get into that, you have been the most requested return guest in the history of Willie D Live.
Wow, that's
They
amazing.
keep saying, like, can you get her back on the show? Can you get her back on the show? And you were one of the first people that was on the show. In fact, you was on the on the Ghetto Boys podcast that I did with Brad, but they've been asking me to bring you on my show, and so you wear a lot of hats. One of the heaviest hats that you wear is that human trafficking services director for the Harris County Precinct 1 Constable's Office. What constitutes human trafficking?
First of all, there are 4 categories of human trafficking. Do you know what they are?
What are they?
Just think about it.
The 4 categories of human trafficking. Children? Is that a category? Children?
It's more specific than that.
More specific. Okay, so let me think about it. 4 categories of human trafficking. That would be slave labor. Was that
Labor trafficking is
labor
one.
Trafficking. Okay. Marriage, was that one? So labor trafficking, let me think about it. Labor trafficking, sex trafficking.
Yep.
Labor's trafficking, sex trafficking, organ harvesting.
Organ trafficking.
Yeah. And what's the other?
Drug trafficking.
Drug trafficking.
And humans traffic these things.
Yeah. To be a human trafficker, it has to be the lowest of the lowest of the lowest of the lowest. You got to be a really rotten motherfucker to do something like that. And typically when we think of human traffickers, we think of men, but there are a lot of women who are involved also. There are a lot of women.
They're dominating the field, especially in sex trafficking.
Yeah.
Everybody think it's going to be a pimp named Slickback. No. It doesn't look anything like that anymore. Now, to be perfectly 100, all the old school pimps ought to be devastated. They should be dead, because what these youngsters and these people have done that have these, what are they called now? Is it the Gen X or what are the young people?
Well, you got the Gen X and then you got your millennials.
Millennials, all of those. They have given all of the gangs concussions. Damn the black eyes, that shit gone. They get knocked out. Knocked out. Let's take organ trafficking. What's the number one organ that is in demand?
The heart.
Nope.
Well, kidney.
Nope.
The number one organ that's in demand. The number one organ that's in demand. The number one organ in demand. If it's not the heart, it's not.
And brown and black people are targeted for this organ.
It's not the heart. It's not the kidney.
The largest organ of the body.
The skin.
Skin.
Yeah.
And because we're brown and black people and we have so many different variations of pigmentation, and especially in times like this where wars are going on, and look at where the wars are, and people are getting burned and bombed, and fires have gone on even in the United States. We have this now phenomenon of all these fires that are taking place, and we're losing people and people are getting burned. The skin. Now, who in the hell is trained to remove skin and organs? Who?
Doctors.
What? Yeah. Excuse me, I got choked.
Yeah.
So what are you saying? That an actually board-certified trained physician knows how to harvest skin. Do you know how much money they make? Doctor's salary is anywhere from 250,000, 300, 400,000 a year. Some of them, that's average. But when you start saying, if they have not come up with a cure for something or something or something, or have patents, when you can make 100, 200 million, 300 million a year, the lust and the greed and the love for money can turn a good person into one of those awful motherfuckers you was just talking about. Makes sense. Now, I'm gonna school you on something else. And this goes for everybody out there who's listening. See, all of this stuff is invisible, but it's in plain sight.
Right.
When someone dies in your family, okay, this is so undetected, untracked. Nobody even thought of this. They tell you you're there, your family member takes their last breath in a hospital. You don't know if they were organ donors or not. And they take the body to the morgue. I'm not saying all morgues, but some people that work for the morgues are on the black market. They're in that industry. Nobody, when the body gets to the funeral home, it's very rare that the family member goes in the embalming room and look to see if all of the skin or the heart or lungs or liver or eyes or whatever are still attached to their loved one. The deal has been made from the hospital to whoever picks up the body to the funeral home, and all funeral homes are not certified and legit, especially individuals who are what you want to call the throwaways, no family members, the ones that just get put in a potter's field or a mass, they're going to be cremated. Nobody ever checked for any of those bodies to see if all of their skin or organs or any of those things were still with that person. That's undetected, under the radar money. In the hundreds of millions that go up to the billions of dollars. Most people don't even know that when your loved one, after they're embalmed, they're putting they are inside of a plastic bag that zips up. And then they put the clothes on top of that body that prepare them for viewing. So it's very hard to track that. The closest way of tracking it is when we are able to find out morticians who are unlicensed, are operating illegal funeral home services, or prey on the people who don't have a lot of money to have these funerals. Population that gets targeted are drug addicts, prostitutes who are disconnected from family, or some of them don't have family. It's just unclaimed funds that they're just raking in. And you don't even, but you still have to have somebody who knows how to harvest those organs to preserve them in order to transport them all over the world to individuals who need the organs. And it's unfortunate, a lot of people never thought about skin. Skin is an organ. So most people don't even know that.
What are the consequences, like when people do get popped? To me, it seems like the government is very lenient. Law enforcement is very lenient on sex traffickers. What are the consequences? What does the penalties look like?
Well, the penalties are very stiff now, especially for minors. That's 25 to 99 if you're trafficking minors, forcing them into prostitution. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like what you see on television. Nobody's picking up nobody and throwing them in a van, and they do keep them. I mean, that kind of stuff does happen, but that's not natural and what goes on normally. These children are being courted through social media, through the video games, through cult-like music.
Is that one of those video games? Is that 764 thing you was talking about?
Yes, that's. They had a big story on the news last night, how they're luring minors and individuals with disabilities, mental health issues that are undiagnosed even. And they're luring them into cult-like activities and satanic practices and sacrifices and worshiping. And what is strange, it was very rare. Once upon a time, you never heard of no black folks worshiping no Satan. You just didn't. That was rare. Now, the guy that started it, the cult leader, he just got 80 years. But the seed for the game that he created and the games and that footprint was already planted, and it went worldwide, viral. And before you even know it, you just think you're playing a game and you're on there with individuals. You can't see them. A lot of them are covered up. They have these little ads that pop up and you click on it. Even on any of the games, they take you into the dark web, and with all the AI that's going on, they're taking your voice, your face, putting it on these AI characters, and your likeness has been shared billions of times. The same way with... they're calling it the fake, like they had fake news and the fake photos and all that. They can actually take your likeness and your voice. And they're even doing that on the scamming that they're doing when they're stealing your identity, stealing your information, stealing your bank account, stealing your social security numbers. Like, these scam calls will come in and they might not say anything. You keep saying, hello? Hello? It's recording your voice. It takes your voice likeness and uses that and creates your whole conversation because they had the tones of your voice. Like you're talking to a bill collector, or you're saying, I want to change my password, I want to change my whatever. We are living in some of the most horrific, scary times ever. Ever, ever, ever. Since I've been sitting here, you see me continuing to delete. I've had 10 scam calls in just the past less than 1 minute on my phone. And by answering them, you got to be careful. Because even if they don't say anything, you don't... First of all, if you answer it, don't you say anything. Let them say something. And then you'll hear the little... Hang it up. Delete it. Block it. And they're just going to keep calling and keep calling. There's so many tricks to this game. And there's so many of our children from every race coming up missing, being hypnotized by these games and these algorithms, is what they're calling it. And even now, back in my dope fiend days, when I was a crackhead, that was real dope. And I used to tell everybody, and they would laugh and think it was a joke. I say, ain't no more real dope. Me, George Clinton, Rick James, everybody, we all smoked up all the real dope. That was not a lie because Pablo Escobar was killed. And then they arrested the other guy. They were calling Patron. And their children took over those businesses, and they weren't able to duplicate cocaine. That's why now people are calling it crack, but it's not. It's crystal meth, which is a chemical. You got metal and lithium batteries and Drano and Sudafed and bathtub meth and the things that they're doing that now you see everybody out here, and it is not no crack. Crack is gone.